Hello and welcome. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you are doing well whenever this reaches you. So in light of being Valentine's Day, I want to give not a how-to, but my 2 cents of advice on how to find the love of your life. I do want to make it clear that I'm a young woman coming at this from a female perspective. I'm not a guy, but I think some of this advice can be universal. In a previous video that I posted a couple of months ago on how to get out of a toxic relationship, before you are ever going to be ready to meet the right person, it really takes choosing your own sanity and your own happiness above any kind of attachment toward a toxic ex or situation or any kind of love interest that isn't working out. So what I mean by that is not you need to get over your ex to find someone new. In today's day and age, there are a lot of options, or at least the illusion of having a lot of options that are easily accessible. And especially as a woman, if you have any kind of social media, there are going to be a lot of suitors. And until you reach a point where your own happiness and what you say is your desire, which is to meet someone real and serious, until you actually mean what you're saying, and it's not just, I wish I had somebody to care for me, but in the meantime, while I don't, I'm gonna entertain all of these people. Once you really 100% decide, the most important thing is to find what you're looking for rather than any kind of temporary happiness, and you decide to first choose to be treated well and choose to be open to finding something real and say no to the attentions of attractive people and not keep the door open. The first step really is to close the door, look at it through the lens of, is this person dating me with the intention of being my one and only? And if you've known them for any amount of time, I'm talking about even just like a month, and it hasn't gotten to the stage of you're going on dates on at least a weekly basis and they seem serious about you, then this is just an illusion that's taking away your time and concentration from really reaching what you want. There's a lot of very subtle forms of attention you need to get serious with yourself about what you will and will not allow, and then is when suddenly you shift in perspective and you become really able to understand what could potentially be a situation that's going to give you what you want. I would say honestly, this is the most crucial piece of advice that I can give young women. Even just by messaging here and there and you think it's all innocent and they're just a friend, even just that takes away a tremendous amount of your effort and attention that you don't even realize. And when you're having a bunch of guy friends or suitors around just to give you the illusion that you're not lonely, that you're wanted, that really takes away from realizing the matter of fact is that you are single. You are not going on dates with anyone who's worth your time. These people aren't actually pursuing you, they're just distracting you. And then that it doesn't really matter that that's the situation, because you are always gonna be okay and you are always gonna be good enough. You have to start believing in yourself. You need to have hope that right around the corner at any moment you can meet the right person. You need to believe it. And if you don't look at things with optimism, you're just going to be seeing the negatives and you're going to be missing out on the very obvious clues in front of you as to who could be someone who's worth your time and that you could end up with. When you meet someone, it's important that they are attractive. You can't ever just convince yourself that someone is attractive. Either they are or they are not. And it's really important for long-term compatibility, because after you go through a honeymoon stage or once you get into like a longer term situation, you are going to end up feeling dissatisfied because the truth is that you settled on someone that doesn't really suit you. A year or 5 years or 10 years down the line, you're gonna say, I wonder what's happening with my intimate life. I wonder why I can't feel attracted to them anymore. And you could have avoided that in the beginning. So that's really, really, really important. For something long lasting, they really do have to check off a good majority of the boxes of what you need in someone. Once you have established that there is a minimum basic level of attraction there, like truly, genuinely for you, before you find out how funny or charming or whatever they are, let all thoughts of that really go out the window. Is this a good person? And is it a good person to my standard? And be honest about what your standard is. If you are uncomfortable going out to bars and having drunk people around you, and you think, oh, this is a decent guy, he's never like hit his ex-girlfriends or anything like that, there's nothing crazy about him, he doesn't have a criminal record, but he likes going out on special occasions to bars and clubs with his friends. Like, that's how he'll celebrate his birthday, even if he doesn't go all the time, but that's what he does. But if you're really not someone who's comfortable with that deep down, you're gonna resent that, and that's gonna become a source of strife. You're gonna be uncomfortable without really being able to realize why you're uncomfortable. And then you're gonna run into a situation of you're trying to change them in the wrong way. I do think that people can change and evolve over time, especially together when you're trying to create a life together. But there's just some certain things that are kind of ridiculous that you can't be like completely accepting of them in the beginning, and then like later on a few years down the line suddenly be complaining like, oh, this isn't actually what I like, this isn't what I wanted. Well, then that would be on you. Really, 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 really important, especially as a woman, figure out that this is a good person. And I don't just mean they don't cheat on their girlfriends, they don't steal from a bank, they're not punching strangers when they're drunk. I don't mean just the bare bottom basic level of a good person as in functioning in society, but I mean like, what are their goals and values? If you're someone who's really religious, then are they religious for the sake of making their family happy, or are they this way because they genuinely truly believe it in their heart and that's what feels right for them? Are they religious because they're just young and naive, or is this someone who, even though they have gone out and lived a real life, they choose this because this feels right to them as their way of living? But let me tell you something, a good person with good moral values is better than someone who is completely in sync with your personal values. If you're the really religious one, and maybe this guy or this person is not, but he's a genuinely good person, cares for his family, he's responsible, he's mature, he's patient, he's kind, he's all of these wonderful, generous things, versus you're gonna meet someone who is like the exact same religion as you and cares all about that morality, but you know, they don't actually stop and help the homeless person on the street and give them a few dollars. They don't actually have all of these other wonderful qualities. I genuinely believe someone who's just a good person overall is gonna be much better, and you're gonna be better able to get along with them than someone who is just on the surface level, these things that you think you need to be compatible with. Like, I'll give you a great example. A friend of mine who's recently married, she's traditionally Hindi, he is Christian, and they have some overlapping beliefs, but fundamentally it's two different religions. And I remember my dear friend talking to me one day saying, I don't know what's gonna happen because of our religious differences. I'm not sure, like, long term, are we gonna get along? Is everything gonna be fine? And I told her something along the lines of, don't worry about it, because and what you need to look at is what's the reasoning behind why he wants to be a devout Christian. And that was because he wants to be a good person and help others. If that's his real goal in life, someone who believes those things is much more likely to be tolerant of a differing viewpoint in life than someone who just wants to be right because of tradition. And I hope that that point illustrates it really, really well. You do not have to be with someone who is the exact same ethnicity, religion, social class. None of that stuff really matters, especially as a woman. What you want is a man who truly believes that violence is never the answer, who truly believes that he is interested in monogamy of his own sake, not because he is trying to tell you that he'll always treat you right, but he's genuinely only interested in monogamy because that is who he is. Because if you're with a guy who's like, oh, I'm gonna commit to you, but actually I'd be totally down for threesomes, what do you think is gonna happen down the line when you guys are together for years and suddenly they get tired of you. And as well, again, figure out what's important to you. I have a very different friend from the last one that I just mentioned, what I can call polyamorous, and she is a very beautiful and open and a wild, open, free soul, and she is completely fine with someone who would want new experiences and be open to different people, and she wouldn't necessarily consider it cheating. But there are other things that she thinks are minimum requirements that are more tailored to her. Like, she doesn't mind someone who goes out and drinks and has a fun time with friends, but her values are someone who is intelligent and a lifelong learner. Like, she is studying to get her PhD right now and engaged to a really wonderful guy while she is still able to be herself openly. So it's all about who is a good person, period, first, and then two, who is a good person specifically for you. And your core values aren't always going to look like the little box that you might label yourself as being a part of, that you don't realize it. That is a really good recipe for long-term success. Agreement of morals, of the big things. And the problem is, every single date that you take will make you more committed, more attracted if everything goes well, especially in the early stages. Like, once you feel that bond and that attraction is the spark, it's just going to start growing quickly. And so once you're in that actual like honeymoon stage, you're gonna be in trouble if you didn't already filter through that part in the first place. If you ignored the red flags of incompatibility and you think, oh, that's okay, it doesn't matter that he just told me he cheated on 3 of his ex-girlfriends, because he just said he's a changed person and he'll never do that again, and he just regrets it so much, and so I can trust him and he thinks I'm special and he'll be good to me. He's not monogamous. He just told you he's not monogamous. That's not in his nature. You're telling me you think that that's never gonna happen in the future? That's kind of stupid. Every day this happens. People will really let you know who they are and you just choose not to see it. This is what I'm talking about. In the initial stages, before you even get to meet someone, you have to set new standards for how you approach things and what you accept. I'm not entertaining anyone who's not going to give me what this looks like, and this being like true mutual love. If you can't do that, you are never going to get to the place of, when you see a pretty face or handsome body, being able to say no and just completely shutting that out of your mind and your life in order to continue to be receptive and open to having the hope of finding the right person in the future. And if you have been able to do the previous successfully, then you can start to truly trust your own judgment. This also builds your self-confidence. You love and trust yourself more. So then in the future, when there is conflict, when you have gotten to know this person's character over time, and you know you trust yourself, all you have to do is tell yourself, remember, what's more important, that we care for each other or this conflict that can be resolved? Whatever we're arguing about, does it really matter that much, or is it really more important that I am with someone who underneath it all cares for me? Can I trust that they have a good intention in mind? And the answer is going to be yes, overwhelmingly yes. That's why I chose him, and so I can rest assured knowing that this conflict can and will be resolved. And lastly, a lot of it does come down to luck. You can come across the most attractive, most wonderful, smart, funny, nice person, but if in your mind you're filtering the world through everybody's this, everybody's that, this is what I've been through, I'm so sad, I'm so lonely, I can't, I won't. If you're seeing that, then you're gonna project those ideas that are only inside of you onto them and ruin it before it even gets started. You're gonna miss out on all the wonderful opportunities, seeing how the pieces could have fit together, because you are getting in your own damn way. So let go of perfectionism, let go of all of the people who have let you down in the past, and let go of anyone who is not 100% serious about being with you right now, and be optimistic and hopeful for what can happen. Thank you so much for watching. Have a happy rest of your day. See you in the next one.